Turbo!
Memories are being erased?
Now, boss man.
No doubt about it. The choreographer's in the autonomous region.
Let's go, Tachikoma.
This must be one of those bloodfests!
Major, we're running out of time. Hurry up!
Attack barrier?
You who have been reduced to puppets of the state cannot possibly betray that state, can you?
All of us fight in the name of what we believe to be just and ethical. If you ask me, nothing else is worth following.
Hey geeks and gamers, and welcome to my review of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex for the PS2.
"120 seconds to Nihama Pier.
Fly over an altitude of 20. We'll drop in from above the pier entrance and commence the op.
I am a pretty big Ghost in the Shell fan. It is my favorite anime, my favorite manga, one of my favorite movies. I love the series. I've been watching it since the first movie. Well, I didn't see it when it came out, but I saw it a little afterwards. And I fell in love with it. And after that, I followed the sequel. I followed the Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex television series. I followed the new series Arise and the movie that's coming out. I love Ghost in the Shell. So, whenever I saw that they had a Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex game on PS2, I had to pick this up, and here are my thoughts.
Roger that.
The military's moved up in the world. They got us cleaning up after their messes.
Let's have them owe us one.
Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex on PS2 does a pretty faithful job of translating the television show into a game. The way they decided to do this was they decided to make it more of a third-person shooter, which fits. It's actually interesting. I've never seen an anime series really get turned into a third-person shooter before. That's kind of interesting. But it's kind of a third-person shooter mixed with sort of a action platformer at points. You play as the Major or Bato, one of the two characters from the show, and you go through different levels. Killing enemies. You can hack enemies, hack things. You can blow up things. You do some cool action platforming as the Major. It's fun stuff, and the storyline in the game is actually its own separate story from the television show. So if you're a fan of the Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex television show, this is actually kind of interesting to pick up because it has a totally separate storyline that you won't see in the show. I don't want to talk about the storyline too much because I don't want to ruin it for those of you who do want to actually experience it. But I will say it's not as good or as deep as the actual television series. But the story's alright.
What's your present location?
En route to level 21 in the parking garage elevator.
I believe that multiple hostiles have infiltrated the parking garage. Don't let your guard down.
Roger. Let's rock and roll.
The gameplay itself is more of a third-person shooter. It reminds me a little bit of Lost Planet for some reason. Lost Planet mixed with Mirror's Edge, with the way the game is. You can do use guns and stuff, and you can go hand-to-hand combat, and you can do some platforming. It's pretty basic stuff. Each level you're trying to get through the inner level, with go hack this terminal or go do this or go do that. It's pretty basic stuff. The game itself isn't too long. I think it was around 10 missions or something like that. It's not too entirely long, but the levels themselves are fairly lengthy, so you'll get a nice experience there. There's even a level where you can ride a Tachikoma, which are like the big tank things in the series, and that level was a lot of fun. So overall, I think the game is pretty well designed. There's a few standout levels that I remember really liking, like the first level on the docks and stuff, and then the level where you have to platform around the ledge of a building. That was really cool. So there are some standout moments here. The game does look pretty dated because it is a PS2 game. It doesn't look too bad. I've seen worse looking PS2 games. So it does hold up fairly well. I think this was released around 2004 or so, if I recall. I might be wrong on that actually, if I recall though. But I don't know. The game has a great soundtrack though. The game soundtrack holds up right there with the show. And if you don't know, the Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex show has a fantastic soundtrack. So what I recommend this game, definitely to Ghost in the Shell fans. It is a great time. I would say if you're not really a Ghost in the Shell fan, you can give it a try. There's a lot of heavy dialogue going on in the background while you play a lot of the times, so that might get on your nerves, especially since you don't know who the characters are. The characters are voiced by their original voice actors from the show, though, so that's also really neat. But like I said, if you're not a Ghost in the Shell fan, I would recommend watching Ghost in the Shell. Hell, just go watch Ghost in the Shell anyway, because Ghost in the Shell, not even the Standalone Complex show, the original movie is one of the best movies of all time, and the show is pretty damn good. Also, I have everything Ghost in the Shell I have on DVD because I love it so much. So I would totally recommend this game to Ghost in the Shell fans, and those who are not Ghost in the Shell fans, I would recommend you give it a go if you like third-person shooters. And that was my review. I think it's a very fun game. I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.
Turbo Zone.